Now, just weeks out from the Tokyo Olympics, large parts of Japan, including in Osaka and Tokyo, there is a state of emergency in place because the pandemic is kicking up again. This is sparking quite a bit of opposition to the Olympics, including from the Tokyo medical practitioners who represent 6,000 medicos in Tokyo. They say they want the Games postponed again. Here's how the issue has been reported in the region.
The International Olympic Committee has expressed confidence that the Tokyo Olympics will be a historic event despite massive public opposition in Japan due to the continued spread of COVID-19. During an online news conference Wednesday, a spokesperson for the IOC said he's confident public opinion will swing in a positive direction once the Olympics begin. Nearly 60% of Japanese citizens want the Games called off, according to a recent poll, with more than 300,000 people signing a petition to cancel the event.
Yeah, just what is the risk here to the Games? Let's catch up with Matt Carroll, who heads up the Australian Olympics Committee. Good to talk to you, Matt. How worried is the Australian Committee about these Games being postponed yet again?
Well, I think the first answer to your question is the Games can't be postponed again. They can only, and they're not going to be, but they can only be cancelled. And the Games of 2024 are coming up very quickly. And so these Games can't be postponed, and they're not going to be cancelled. The IOC, the Tokyo Organising Committee, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government and the Japanese government are committed to the Games going ahead. A lot of measures have been put in place to protect the Japanese public. Obviously, no foreign visitors, no foreign spectators. Importantly, the athletes themselves are in a bubble in the village. They go to the competitions, they come home, they're out of the village within 48 hours of finishing. So it's going to be very different Games, but the Games quite understandably are going ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're confident about that. When you talk about those procedures, does that mean there'll be some events with no spectators, or do you expect physical distancing and limited spectator numbers in most events?
Yeah, sorry, Chris, that's a decision to be made by the by the Japanese government. We could make the decision. They're going to make it in June, after obviously the same way our government has been waiting to make those sort of decisions on spectators for major sporting events until closer to the event. So that will be made in June. Hopefully there will be Japanese citizens will be able to attend the Games, because I know, having lived over there and worked over there for a couple of years, they love their sport and they will cheer for all the teams competing in the Games.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. As many people as possible. They're not averse to wearing masks either, like many Australians, so that shouldn't be a problem. Just tell us about how difficult it's been for the athletes and the coaches and the whole team. It's been such a difficult year already. At the moment, presumably everybody's still going through their vaccination process, and now this speculation and pressure still to cancel the Games. It must be terribly disrupting, at least from a mental point of view.
Well, it has, and from the very beginning, we've had a very strong communication, process with our athletes and the sports and the officials and coaches, which are the coaches and doctors and all the people involved with the team. It's been very critical to have that communication, because there has been a lot of misinformation come out over the almost 12 months now since the Games were announced as being postponed, and that we try to mitigate that uncertainty. Certainly, the government's decision to provide vaccination for the Olympic and Paralympic athletes in the team was a welcome one. We've rolled that out under the AOC, so there's been no interference with the public rollout of vaccination. We've managed it ourselves. So that took away a bit of uncertainty. Certainly the recent uniform launches by the ASICs and Sportscraft the other day, that all brings more certainty to the Games. And yes, there's always going to be speculations, but we're in constant communication with the athletes to ensure they understand that we've got their flights on the charter flights with Qantas on their way to Tokyo.
Yeah, can't wait for it. Thanks for that, Matt. Good to hear.
Thank you.
Matt Carroll, the CEO of the Australian Olympic Committee, says we're good to go. As he pointed out, they can't be postponed again. They would only be cancelled. But he's very confident that Japan and the International Olympic Committee will go ahead with those Games. So I can't wait to see the Aussies over there, whether there are crowds or not, big crowds or not. It's still the Olympics.